Hello everyone, my name is Willow and welcome to my weird world. This is going to be a series where I basically build up an entire massive creative world as like a sort of kind of creative forever world. Um, I want each area to kind of flow between the next. Um, and I've gotten us started here with just a little lake and a cabin. I hope you don't mind. It was getting light outside, so I needed to set up somewhere to stay during the day. Um, but now it's sunset, so I can come out again. So yeah, this is my little garden area. Uh, we've got a nice watering can modeled by my lovely girlfriend. And if you come up here, follow this path all the way up, you will come across a very empty area right here. And what I want to do with this is I want to build a proper garden, like a proper big one, with a greenhouse and a shed and everything like that. Each episode I want to try a different technique. We're starting off quite simple here with just a nice little garden. So yeah, let's get right into it. In any Minecraft build, it's always useful to know the general structure of what you're about to build, so I was just starting off there with some paths to kind of lay out the general flower beds, and also here you can see me building the footprint for a greenhouse, and here you can see a pond, and the circles are going to be some decking, and the red will be a nice little shed. So here we have the beginnings of our first tree, and now the trick with trees is to kind of spread the leaves around the branches and make sure to leave some air gaps for the leaves so that it doesn't feel too dense and doesn't feel too airy at the same time. And this is for the bees, so I added some glowberries. And then I also added some banners in order to try and give the impression that the leaves are blowing in the wind slightly. You'll notice that these trees I'm building here, I'm not actually using that much wood, besides a bit of pale and a tiny bit of birch logs, and that's because a lot of trees in real life are grey and not brown. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So that's why I've made a tree out of deep slate. In my grand's garden, she has an area off to the side that's covered by some trees, and I feel like it frames the whole garden quite well. But off to the very side of those trees, there's a path, and down that path, it's quite gloomy and dark. There's quite a lot of bushes, and I just kind of wanted to add a little nod to that in this garden, because I really enjoy dark, gloomy spaces, personally, and it's honestly one of my favourite areas of the garden. I always really enjoy going down that path, so I wanted to include that within this garden. Now you're actually about to see me doing some quite illegal things here where I place flowers on bushes, which isn't actually allowed in vanilla Minecraft, but thankfully with Axiom I can place them there. And I think it's kind of silly how we can't place those wildflowers on bushes, because they look so good on them. I really want to be able to place those flowers on leaves in vanilla. Now, I didn't really know exactly what to do with this hill at first, but at the time of building, I had recently gone to this public garden with my girlfriend, and they had a rock garden in it, and it was just a really lovely experience, and it was like a bunch of rocks and a like water stream flowing all throughout it, and it was just really nice there. Unfortunately, there were kind of gardeners everywhere in the way, so we couldn't really explore it as much as I wanted to, but it was just a really nice time there, and I wanted to put something in there in this build to kind of remind me of that experience. Now, you'll see me using these corals. They're on deep slate slabs and stairs that are waterlogged, so they won't die out. And it's basically just because I feel a lot of the vanilla flowers, they don't really fill up the block that well, whereas the corals, so much better for just filling up the block with lots of colour, and nobody wants a very sparse, spread out garden. For the pond, I originally wanted to continue the glasswork that had been going throughout the rock garden, but I couldn't really get it to work. I tried lots of things. I tried grey, I tried blue, you'll see in a sec, and just none of it was really working. And then also with the glass, I couldn't really decorate the pond that easily, because none of it would ever look good, so in the end I decided on water and kind of fade out the glass with this kind of bubbling effect, and I feel like it worked quite well. Now, I also used Axiom to change the tint colour of the water to swamp water, and at the back under the decking I wanted to change to mangrove water to be a bit of a gradient. I kind of wanted to recreate those ponds that you see that are just covered in just very green, murky water, and there's something about them that's just kind of nice. I quite like them. Now, this decking that goes over the pond is actually inspired by a garden that I've been to a few times. I won't say where for obvious reasons, but there's this pond and there's a bunch of decking that just goes over it in like some circles, and that kind of just stuck with me. I don't remember much else about the garden, but that part stuck with me for some reason, so I incorporated it here as well. Now, you'll also see here that I forgot that I have Axiom installed and was just slowly filling it in, block by block. Now here's a clip of me trying and failing again and again to build this gosh darn shed. You'll see I tried quite a lot of things, and it just never felt right. Whatever I did just wasn't feeling right, and I eventually had to decide, okay, I'll tear it all down and I'll come back to it later, and sometimes that's just what you have to do. Now, any good garden would not be a good garden if it didn't have a lovely sniffer. I just think they're just so adorable, and every garden should have one, and they're so precious, and I know they don't do much, but they're just so silly, and I just love them so much because they're so silly. And they just walk around and they just go sniff sniff and make silly noises, and I think Minecraft needs more useless mobs like that because I love them so much. And anyway, here's me building the greenhouse. After building the greenhouse, I gained some newfound clarity and realised that the shed that I was building originally was just far too big, and it just dwarfed everything else in the garden, and that's why I just couldn't get it to look good no matter what. So it just goes to show that sometimes when you're building, if you come into a roadblock, you just sometimes need to take a bit to work on a different part of the build, and then sometimes the answer to your roadblock will present itself to you. Now, one thing this garden was missing was the tools of the gardener, and I think the decking's the perfect place for this. It was looking very empty without it, and I feel like this just elevated the whole garden to, okay, this actually feels lived in. Someone actually works here, they actually tend to the garden. There's a wheelbarrow, there's muddy footprints on the deck of the gardener having just tended to some plants, walking up to the shed, and then taking a nice sit down around the campfire. And I just think it's always really important to just add things to show that your world is actually being lived in, even if it actually isn't. Anyway, after that, the garden was done, and it's time to take a look. I hope you all enjoyed that little shader cinematic there at the end. It used up 99% of my GPU power, so I really hope you enjoyed it. You better have enjoyed it, because that melted my CPU. Anyway, what am I doing? Anyway, okay, so first of all, I've added these little bushes here to kind of just draw your eye into the garden and kind of block the sight line of the boring old vanilla Minecraft terrain. And the first thing you see kind of is this fountain. As you can see, I am planning to upgrade it when the new update comes out. With the little copper golem statue. And to be honest, I'm not like super duper happy with the fountain anyway. I feel like you don't see it and immediately think fountain. But I guess that's more my fault for using glasswork, especially glasswork up close. Anyway, we've got this little flower bed here that kind of transitions from blue all the way to orange. Anyway, if we come on down here to this nice little dark area, there's some firefly bushes hidden underneath the path here. If we just go on down here, you can see it. Anyway, and I feel like that just really helps to add some atmosphere to this whole like darkened off area. I feel like fireflies are quite good for that, just to add movement and things, and to really make it feel a lot more magical back here. We also have this little mushroom asset. Maybe wondering what it is. It's basically made out of block entities, which if I press Alt in Axiom, and I press this little toolbox here, and I press Show Display Entity Gizmos, you can see a little gizmo thing pops up, which allows me to move it. Control Z. And basically what this is it's a display entity. So this is something that exists in vanilla Minecraft, but you can't do... Axiom just allows you to interact with it with this nice, useful, helpful UI instead of just command blocks. So basically I could, let's say, mushroom block, which is what these mushrooms are made out of, and I can use this to basically warp and move this however I want to kind of model these mushrooms. Now, it's not really a real block, it doesn't have a hitbox or anything, but I feel like it's really good being able to add detail to a creative mode build. Anyway, so if we continue onwards down this path, we then come out into a more open area with this tree here, and I've used some spore blossoms to kind of create the idea of there being lots of pollen in the air and like just to add a lot more movement. Here we've got the chorus flower bed. I'm pretty sure I've used almost everything in the natural blocks section, just trying to get the amount of diversity that I need for a garden of this scale. And I still feel like I was really struggling. I really needed more natural blocks. And this is not that big a garden, I feel like. So, Mojang, keep adding stuff like this, please. Around this way, past the little vegetable patch, is the sniffer pen. Hello. Yes. Oh. Oh, they're so silly. I love sniffers so much. They're just so cute. But okay, that's enough of me gushing. That's enough of me gushing about sniffers. I'm sure you've heard plenty of that in the voiceover. Anyway, inside the greenhouse here, we have one thing I've done is underneath all the cherry leaves, I've put these pink petals as if the cherry leaves have kind of fallen down onto the ground, and now they're here. Can't do this without cheating, basically. you can't do this normally. Thanks to Axiom, we can though. And I feel like we should just be able to do in vanilla because it looks so good. And I just love the creative freedom of that. Anyway, here we've got the different stages of pitcher pod growth. We've got some orange berries on the leaves, got a cactus, lots of stuff. But back here, we have this kind of invasive species that I'm studying. You can see I've cut up this glowberry here, and I've got a notebook, and this is just kind of like my research area of the greenhouse. And the idea being is that this invasive plant, you look through the window here, it's come through into the garden, it's appeared, not sure where from, not sure how or why, and I'm just studying it to try and work out where it's come from and what to do about it. And under here, there's currently nothing, but I'm planning for there to be a little laboratory with laboratory, science place, a little sciencey place. I'm planning on there being a little sciencey place where there'll be a creaking kept in a little test tube. Probably a big test tube, actually. Anyway, okay, so our little pond area here, we've got some, what's it called? Duckweed. We've got some duckweed here, and we've got these, they're not brown candles, they are, what they called again? Oh my god, I've forgotten. Cattails. We've got some cattails. And we've also got some frog spawn, which it's not real frog spawn. It's actually a display entity. That way it'll never hatch, and it'll always be there. And also I can put it inside duckweed and inside the drip leaf. Anyway, up the bridge, and we come onto this decking here. Now, this is mud. It's mud. It's very real mud, and it's not leaf litter at all. This is not a spruce plank. It's muddy decking. Okay, and I feel like until I added the mud, this decking just felt so empty, and the whole garden almost actually just felt not like it had been lived in. And these muddy footprints that I added completely kind of changed that. Like, it's now lived in. Like, you can see the gardener like went up here into the shed and like went to relax here on the chair in front of the fire. So if we come in the shed, actually, there's nothing here. There's nothing in the shed. It's empty. That's because, oh, what have I done? What did I just do? Oh. Fair enough. That's because it is not done yet. I've not done it. That's why. That's my explanation. But I'm gonna do it next episode, and basically we're just gonna kind of cram as much as detail as we possibly can in there using the Axiom display entities. So stay tuned for that. If we come around here, then we get to the area where everything starts looking a lot more grey and dying off, because we're now in a pale forest biome, and this invasive pale oak leaves have taken over this area of the garden and kind of just killed everything else off. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let me know if you have any suggestions for the garden or anything like that. And yeah, I'm just going to be sat here doing some fishing. Oh, I caught one already. Goodbye!